Bridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
Making sense of the headlines.
Listen to this. It's stunning.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor.
Weekdays 5 to 9 a.m.
We'll be covering it for you live, as we always do.
News Talk 105.9.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-908-1755. That's 800-908-1755. 800-908-1755.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
In the land of diamonds, Mervis is king. Make her queen with a diamond wedding band from Mervis Diamond Importers. This report is sponsored by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month on America's most dependable 5G network. Switch today. Just dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
Vince Coglianese.
Hey, good afternoon to you. It is now 5:06 here at News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up, a closer look at the Keystone State. Pennsylvania is expected to be the place that decides the election. We'll see. Cliff Maloney will give us an update on how things are going there at 5:30. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. I want to get to, hopefully, maybe we'll get to more audio from Kamala Harris's ridiculous CNN town hall where she said out loud that the grocery prices are too high last night.
Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high.
The Trump campaign instantly took that and they put Trump's endorsement at the end of it. They did last night. I'm Donald Trump and I approve this message. Grocery prices are too high. That's what's bringing people out. That's what's bringing people out. And Kamala Harris attempting to attack Trump, to savage him in the waning days of this election. Again, the same woman who says that the true measure of strength is based on who you lift up, not who you beat down. Her final pitch is, I'm going to beat Donald Trump down. I'm going to tear him down. We got some calls coming in, as always, at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. On line 8 is John calling in from Winchester. Now, John, good afternoon, sir. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince. Great show.
Thank you, sir.
And I heard that last caller, and I just want to commend you first for taking the call. You probably knew what you were walking into, and it did a great job. And even when she was starting to hyperventilate, you calmed her down, and were hopefully able to expose her to some of the truth.
Well, you know, her name was Susan. At least that's what she said her name was. My goal with a call like that is not to dunk them into the earth. That's not what I'm attempting to do. I really do hope that maybe she can change her mind. Now, one of the things that we've talked about before when we get callers like that is, Rush Limbaugh what did he used to call them? The conference callers? Like basically that people would, make calls into seminar callers. That was the phrase. They would try and call it into conservative radio shows, and they want to try and throw the conservative host off kilter. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. My goal is, if it's not Susan, that it's somebody else, maybe who agrees with that sentiment, who wants an actual explanation. And that was the goal with that call, John.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks for the call. I appreciate that. Bridget's calling in Front Royal now, line 7. Bridget, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince. Oh, my word. Okay, so we just got back from Michigan. Which is interesting to say the least.
Did you turn the television on? Did you turn the television on while you were there? What happened to you?
I know, it was crazy, and then we're missing him by just a couple days. But at any rate, my dad sits on the same side of the fence as Susan and gets just as agitated, just as worked up, and I had begged him to not bring it up while we were there because we're just visiting. Let's just enjoy it.
Yes.
But he did.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say, talk about drinking Kool-Aid. My dad I thought he was going to start crying because of how afraid he is. He truly believes, from whatever Kool-Aid he's drinking, that Trump is going to put Democrats into concentration camps. And I was trying to explain to him, he was saying, oh, you know, we're so worried about the things we've said online. And I'm just staring at him blankly. Like, are you kidding right now? You're kidding with me right now, right? I said, because the people that need to be afraid aren't the ones that are sitting on his side of the fence, you know, and trying to explain this to people who thoroughly drink the Kool-Aid is impossible.
But Bridget, where does this come from? Does your dad consume some kind of media or social media that leads him to these conclusions?
I believe he does. I don't know what, because he wouldn't watch it while we were there. But my brother said that he's as consumed with sitting on that side as we are with sitting on this, which is a lot. So, but he's, you know, looking at his YouTube feed. My husband said he could see his YouTube feed, and he was just shaking his head thinking, you believe this? And he believes that people are only coming through the ports of entry. He doesn't know anything about the Facebook stuff. He doesn't know anything about critical race theory. And I said, Dad, you don't understand. It's because you're only consuming one type of media. Yeah. You're not spreading out a little bit. And he considers anything on the right to just be lies. And you can't speak any. So, you can't.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, one of the differences between the right and the left, one of the critical differences between the right and the left, is that the average conservative does know what's happening in left-wing media. They know because it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
And so the average conservative is aware of both what the left-wing media is reporting and what the truth is underneath all those headlines. And that's not the same on the left. The left has a very different kind of bubble that they've created for themselves, which basically excludes anything that might come out of conservative media, and especially the truth. And that world is so isolated from any sort of countervailing viewpoint that it becomes... You know, it becomes very delusional, and unfortunately. In fact, Bridget, while I have you, let me play a clip. This is from literally this morning, MSNBC, Mika Brzezinski, just going absolutely full-blown Trump Derangement Syndrome on air. I almost felt sad for her by the end of this.
As important as Trump's fascism is, and is the lead story every day, his cozying up to dictators, his obsession with Hitler that has now come out, what he has said about our veterans, and what he wants to do with the military against his political adversaries, it's all huge news. This is the future that we're looking at in the next Trump term, if there is one. But this is what voters know right now, that he is killing us. I'm talking about us women. He's killing us. He is putting us at risk. He is making us afraid to have babies. He is putting our reproductive health at risk, and some women have died already because of this. So we can see right now what's coming. These headlines, and very good reporting, by the way, that shouldn't be questioned by idiots about what Trump has said about Hitler, that's incredibly important to know. But I do understand that people who are busy and that are people who are just tapping in may not be able to comprehend, because we've been free. We've been comfortable. We cannot comprehend that. And I understand that. I validate that it is hard to go from here to there. It is where we're going. I hope we don't find out the hard way. But what's happening with women right now is real. And it is playing out across America.
You know, in the Museum of Mental Illness, that would be a masterpiece. Put that under glass and stare at it in awe, because throughout it, she says things like, Trump is a fascist, Trump is Hitler, we have to trust the people who tell us this. Never mind the fact that the guy who's telling us this, Jeffrey Goldberg, literally lied to get the United States into the Iraq War. Never mind any of that. And then if Americans don't understand it, she understands, because she has this very patronizing view, Bridget, you see, that Americans are too stupid to understand what's really going on. So when you hear that, does that sound like anything that your father might be consuming?
Almost verbatim. I mean, it's disturbing. And when I try to show him things, he just shuts down. I try to show him how the media is biased and you know, well, where did that come from? And he's so shut down to it, and he'll just say Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. And when we ask him to back it up, all he says is, I've been studying this man for 50 years. And okay, Dad, we have to agree to disagree. It's just, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's tough. That's tough with your own dad. You just got to keep loving him and praying for him. Bridget, I really appreciate the call. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet, Vince. Take care.
That's Bridget out in Front Royal today. Let us see here. Thomas calling in from Northern Virginia, line 9. Hello, Thomas. You're on the Vince Colonnade Show.
Hey, Vince. How's it going?
Excellent, sir.
Good. Hey, just a quick response to Susan. It was interesting because, the whole labeling Kamala as a communist versus Trump as a fascist. Kamala actually has communist ideologies and communist ideas, whereas Trump was already president for 4 years, and he never rounded up people and sent them to concentration camps. And he even had a chance to go after Hillary Clinton after the Benghazi and everything, and he never did. So,
in fact, on that point, Thomas, I'll let you continue here. But on that point, there's some news today. Trump has raised possibly giving a pardon to Hunter Biden. He was asked about this morning, he was asked whether or not he might do that. And he said, I think Hunter's done a lot of bad things, but I think maybe for helping to heal the country, that might be a good idea. So those are his impulses.
Yes, exactly. Everybody, the left is attacking him nonstop. And he actually, he I don't know, man. He just, he's not going after the left like the left is going after him. And for them to call him a fascist and everything, I think they just need to kind of take a look in the mirror and get an idea of, what's really going on here.
Yeah, and it's pretty rich to get all these lectures from the left about responsible language when we've already seen 2 crystal clear examples this year of people who have taken the left seriously and attempted to assassinate President Trump to preclude him from returning to the Oval Office.
It's dangerous, man. Just like you said, there's a lot of mentally unstable people out there, and they're going to take, they're going to try to take an advantage of all of this talk. And if they feel like they can take him out, they're going to try to.
Yeah.
And the left is stirring the pot. They're the ones that are, causing all this divisiveness and just the craziness that we're seeing these days. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, deeply unfortunate. And in fact, I mentioned, I don't have the quote right in front of me, but I'd mentioned after Teddy Roosevelt was shot some time ago. Obviously some time ago, a century ago, just 5 minutes after he was shot in the chest by a would-be assassin, in his case, yet again, actually I pulled up the quote now, he said, "Now, friends, of course, I do not know as I say anything about him, but it is a very natural thing that weak and vicious minds should be inflamed to acts of violence by the kind of awful mendacity and abuse that have been heaped upon me." So in other words, like if people are going to keep telling the most vicious possible lies, there are going to be mentally ill people who believe them.
Yes, absolutely there will be. Hey, Vince, keep up the good work, man. I appreciate everything that you do.
Thomas, thank you very much. I really appreciate that call. Let me see here. I've got a lot of calls coming in, so I just want to get through them here. Art is in Leesburg, line 2. Art, good afternoon, sir. You're on the Vince Colonnade Show.
Thank you for taking my call. And while Comrade Harris claims she is for women, she's actually attacking them. It's her policies that put men in women's sports, push the transgender agenda, and there's a policy called women's erasure, and that's what she's trying to do. Erase the distinction between men and women.
At the expense of those women, for sure. Yeah, you're right about that. In fact, the changes that the Biden-Harris administration have made to Title IX, which is achieving exactly what you're talking about, the abuse of women nationwide, is just one of the most underappreciated but important stories of our era, because it consists of the most consequential attacks on women of our century here in the United States. And it's being led by the Biden-Harris administration. It's a full-blown assault on women. If you say that a woman is not a real category and that a man can be inside of that locker room, on that sports team, take that privilege, take that position, then what you're saying is that women deserve that abuse. That's the position that the Biden-Harris administration is taking. And it's not just college women. They're doing it to children, too. There's an important story today in the Daily Caller about this, that in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, that the Child Services Department there has been working with the Biden-Harris administration on keeping track of, quote, transgender kids in their database. And the goal is to track whether or not the parents are indulging the mental illness of the child to the point that they lead them even deeper into destruction. And if they're not, the parent is turned into the villain. So if you don't endorse child abuse, the government will treat you as the villain. That is systemic abuse of children, boys and girls, Art. And that's being led by the left and the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, and it's all in the name of women's rights, right?
All of it, yeah. And they pretend like they're standing up for women and when they're leading the attack on them. Art, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's such an important feature. That's one thing, I don't know about you, but I've definitely have desired that to play a more prominent role in this campaign, because there's a lot that's been said about, President Trump and some soft support among college-educated suburban white women, or whatever the issue is that he needs to resolve, just in terms of electoral politics. Here you go. This is a massive, massive issue, this full-blown attack on women. And you talk about stories that don't get covered enough. That's definitely one of them. 5:20 now. WMAL traffic and weather. Let's check in with Ed Rodriguez in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Thanks, Vince. We've been having a very odd time on southbound I-95 in Virginia. First of all, you only have a very brief delay crossing over the Occoquan as you go from Fairfax into Prince William County, and then everything catches up with you and you get to Route 17 in Falmouth. We have got a long, long delay because all the southbound lanes are still closed down in Ladysmith, and it looks like it's going to be that way through at least the rest of the rush hour. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, here's the WMAL ABC 7 Storm Watch forecast.
Mainly clear and cold overnight. A frost advisory for northern Montgomery, Frederick, and Loudoun counties early tomorrow morning. Lots of sunshine out here Friday, near 70 degrees, lower 70s on Saturday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, in the nation's capital, it is 65 degrees, 521, News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Let me share with you a real estate reality. Last year, over 49% of homes that were listed didn't sell with the real estate agent who took the initial listing. And now for the good news, my dear friends Sarah and Debbie from the Reynolds and Power Home team, they can help. They've got a proven track record in the DMV. They've helped hundreds of families buy and sell their homes. And here's just one of many examples. Tony was working with a realtor trying to sell his home for 99 straight days and had no luck. During this time, he lost out on a new construction dream home because he was still stuck selling his current one. So then he reached out to Sarah and Debbie from the Reynolds and Power Home team, and they immediately got to work building Tony a custom strategy, highlighting his home's unique features, and they launched a proactive marketing plan to reach prospective buyers. Now, the results came fast. In just 2 days, Tony received a cash offer, and his home was sold at full price. So if you're tired of waiting for your home to sell, give my friends Sarah and Debbie a call. Just visit DebbieHasTheBuyers.com or call 844-344-SOLD.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
As Cybersecurity Awareness Month winds down, LifeLock reminds you to update your software regularly. These updates fix security flaws that could be exploited by identity thieves. But don't stop there. LifeLock offers comprehensive identity theft protection that goes the extra mile. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious use of your info, but also takes action to resolve identity theft issues, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Is your patio, sidewalk, or driveway cracked or uneven? Have you tripped or fallen as a result? Or are you worried about the liability of an uneven surface on your property? American Concrete Services can quickly help. Don't pay the high cost to tear out and replace your sidewalk, patio, driveway, or pool deck. American Concrete Services has an economical solution which can raise and stabilize your existing concrete at a fraction of the cost of full replacement with their environmentally friendly structural foam. With structural foam lifting, there's no heavy equipment to cause damage to your property and no loud noises from jackhammering. Best of all, most repairs can be completed in just a few hours the same day. Have your entire patio, sidewalk, or driveway crack-free, safe, and level again. No job is too big or small. Call American Concrete Services now for your free estimate at 240-6655-665. That's 240-6655-665. Again, call 240-6655-665. License in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. MHIC number 140530.
It's showtime. Get ready for the main event at Marlowe Furniture. We're hitting it with a knockout combo. 60% off all furniture and free delivery in one swing. Hurry in and land the knockout with massive savings and bring home the style and comfort of your dreams. Marlowe's main event. 2 heavyweights, 60% off and free delivery. Coming together to bring you the biggest savings of the year. Don't miss out on Marlowe's main event. Marlowe Furniture since 1955.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2794. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-2794. That's 800-575-2794. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Our frontline fighter, Jerry Torres. As a Green Beret, Torres served in Afghanistan and around the world, protecting us against drug lords, terrorists, and human traffickers. Jerry Torres has spent his whole life fighting for us. Now a successful businessman, Jerry Torres is running for Congress to continue that fight, to reduce violent crime, end the affordability crisis, and protect our kids from violence in schools. Put Jerry Torres on the front lines for us.
My name is Jerry Torres, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Jerry Torres for Congress.
Mark Levin, weeknights from 6 till 9.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
You know, Bill Clinton isn't doing any favors to Kamala Harris. He's on the campaign trail. The same guy who says that American women would be alive right now were it not for the Biden-Harris administration failing to vet the people they were releasing into our country. He just said recently. Here he is today in Arizona saying that Kamala Harris is having a very rough go. She's extremely vulnerable right now in this campaign.
I mean, she was there as vice president, and what they think of her largely depends on what they think of President Biden.
Uh-oh.
But she is extremely vulnerable. More vulnerable than she deserves to be through crazy attacks. So they've been thinking, the Republicans, all this time, how can we go on the attack?
Keep sending him out, please. Just keep sending him out on the campaign trail. We will play all those clips every day leading up to Election Day. I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Mike is out in Sunshine on line 1. Mike, good afternoon. You are on the Vince Colonnade Show.
Vince, thanks for taking my call. Sunshine is in the People's Republic of Montgomery County. I voted this morning at the Sandy Spring Fire Hall, actually midday, and the woman manning the GOP table said she'd seen nothing like it in several election cycles, which, it bodes well for down ballot people. I don't think Donald Trump will carry Maryland. Mm-hmm. I'd be stunned if that were the case, but she was very surprised.
So a huge turnout among Republicans so far in Montgomery County.
Well, yes, maybe they're all taking a vote early to heart.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Well, you sure hope so. Just keep plugging away. Thanks, Mike. That's a good report. We'll keep tracking that. They have a lot of important things on that ballot, including a ludicrous radical abortion item on the referendum there. Larry Hogan's hoping to win. At least he'd be not with the Democrats most of the time, maybe. Angela Osselbrooks will always be with them. That's really the math you got to do on that race. Stay with us. Coming up, an update from Pennsylvania. Cliff Maloney joins us. He'll tell us how the ground game's going.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-908-1755. 800-908-1755. 800-908-1755.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
This report is sponsored by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month on America's most dependable 5G network. Switch today. Just dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month with Pure Talk.
Traffic, weather, and news are brought to you by JL Tree Service.
Fall is here, and JL Tree Service says it's time to have dead trees removed, prune dead limbs, remove old stumps, trim and shape shrubs. Call JL Tree Service, 24-hour service for emergencies, 703-359-4444. Mention WMAL for 10% off.
Buying or selling a home, or both?
WMAL makes sense of real estate weekends.
Check out our complete show lineup at WMAL.com/schedule.
Making sense of your life.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Why do you go to Princeton Longevity Center?
We go to Princeton Longevity Center because my husband's cardiologist told him having this exam saved his life.
Because somehow 20 turned into 40, and now I need to take my health more seriously. The Princeton Longevity Center designed a program to keep me healthy and active, so 50 and 60 will be no sweat.
Because even though my cholesterol is high, it turned out my arteries are clear. That's a big relief.
Whether you want to make the most of your future years or just want peace of mind, you need the Princeton Longevity Center. Their comprehensive preventive exam combines the latest technology with caring experts to create your personal plan for staying well.
Because I shouldn't have to wait an hour for a 10-minute physical. I go to Princeton Longevity Center because I get everything done in one day and take my results home with me.
Find out why you need Princeton Longevity. Call 888-8000-PLC or go to PrincetonLongevityCenter.com. Call 888-8000-PLC. That's 888-8000-PLC.
Winter is coming, and so are cold drafts right through your old vinyl windows. Save energy with the WindowMan.com Superior Fiberglass Windows. Now $250 off every fiberglass window. Free consultations at thewindowman.com. $250 savings per Infinity replacement window only. Minimums and installation apply.
This is Vince. Next Generation Banking by FVC Bank connects your company to financial platforms for valuable business insights. Find out how at fvcbank.com. That's fvcbank.com.
Now,
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
Vince Coglianese.
Good afternoon to you. It's 5:35 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. You can join us, as always, at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. You know, I am hoping things are wrapped up by election morning. Wouldn't that be nice? Just lots of early votes in. We have a clear Donald Trump victory. That may not be the case. We may have to wait on Pennsylvania again. Nobody wants to do that. But that is the state. That's the key state that everybody's keeping an eye on. So how are things going on in the Keystone State right now? Cliff Maloney joins us. He's the founder of the Pennsylvania Chase, and he's on the phone. Hello, Cliff. Good to have you with us, sir.
Vince, glad to be here. A lot going on the ground here in PA.
How much is going on? Tell me about it. What are you seeing out there, Cliff?
Yeah, so it's pretty wild. We have 120 full-timers organization. The program is called the PA Chase. And so those 120 folks, they're at the door every day. So we get feedback, in real time. And I have to tell you, this is not 2016. This is not 2020. Republicans are adapting. We are competing with these Democrats when it comes to mail-in voting. We've knocked over 314,000 doors. Our goal is 500,000. But I think Democrats right now, they're scared to death. They're ramping up their spending. They've got more people on the ground. They're just not seeing these mail-in returns anywhere near what Joe Biden had in 2020, which is a great sign for President Trump.
Give me some comparisons, if you would. Like, give some real numbers if you've got them in front of you, because I'd like to know what is the difference here? What are you noticing?
Yeah, so here's the drill, okay? Just so everybody fully understands it. In 2020, during COVID, they changed the rules in Pennsylvania. I'm from outside of Philly. I'm from Delaware County.
Right.
When I was growing up, you voted on Election Day, right?
Yep.
Now there's 50 days of voting. Okay, so ballots went out in Pennsylvania on September 16th. And here's the rundown on the math, okay? You have to request a ballot. So not everybody gets it. So there's two things you look at. You look at requests, and then you look at returns once they come back. Let me jump right to the returns, okay? If you look at 4 years ago, okay, Trump got roughly 20% of the mail-in votes compared to Biden's 80%. Which is wild. I'm looking at all the mail-in voting. So 4 years ago, the GOP only had about 230 mail-in returns at this time. Today, for 2024,
230, literally just the number 230?
Sorry, 230,000.
Okay,
I'm
making
getting
sure.
ahead of myself.
Okay, good.
Right now, we have 360,000. And so that is an increase of 130,000 more return ballots if you compare the GOP today to 4 years ago. Well, how about the Democrats? The Democrats had 893,000 in 2020. They're down to 726. So they're down about 160 to 170,000 ballots. And Vince, I'll say this, we're not trying to win mail-in voting. We're not going to do that, right? But if we can take that 20%, and right now, instead of 20%, we're at 33%. If we can keep competing at that level, we win on November 5th, hands down.
33%. 33% meaning out of all the mail-in ballots that are in, 33% of them are for Republicans.
Correct. Yep, compared to 20% 4 years ago, which is where we finished.
And 33%, I was seeing some posts on social media about this. Is that the magic number that you're targeting, Cliff?
That is it. Here's the breakdown, okay? Trump had roughly 20% of all mail-in votes in 2020, and he only lost the state by 80,000 votes. And so our math is 25 to 28%, Trump is competitive. 33%, it is a huge Trump win. He carries McCormick as a win for the Senate seat. we win a lot of the congressionals, and we flip the state house. So 33% of all mail-in votes, that's what we're targeting.
So that's the number I'll be looking for as we come into Election Day. If you see that number the morning of Election Day, that we're at 33%, presumably, when will you know the final tally on that? Will it be the night before Election Day, basically?
I mean, we'll be able to see the returns in terms of party registration, which is what we're looking at now.
Yeah.
But it'll be one of the first numbers that hits on election night. And look, I'm not going to say, it'll all be over at that point. Trump's turnout on Election Day, we'll see what it looks like. And by the way, Democrats are now saying they're changing their tune. They're now saying, oh, well, it's out of COVID. We're going to have a lot of people show up on Election Day. Well, good luck. We know the math. If you have a ballot sitting at your house for a month, 2 months, you're much more likely to vote than showing up with one opportunity to vote, which is Election Day.
Yeah.
So I wish the Democrats luck, but look at the top line numbers. I mean, Biden went in to Election Day in 2020 with a 1.4 million gain, and Trump only won Election Day by 1.3. Right? Right now, they're only up by 300,000. So they are scrambling, Vince, to try to figure out how they're now going to go to some Election Day turnout.
And just to be clear, this is not your rose-colored glasses interpretation of things. You're telling me that this is a dramatic sea change in Pennsylvania.
Dramatic. And this is all from the Secretary of State. We're analyzing this daily. Democrats are looking at it just like us, minute by minute.
Yeah.
And it's just there's not the enthusiasm. There's not the engagement that they had in 2020.
So what else is happening in Pennsylvania? I do wonder, right now you're looking at voter registration data in order to establish who's voting for whom. That's a basic and blunt way to do it. But you do wonder to what extent that there are Democrats out there who are supporting President Trump and vice versa. I mean, we've seen a lot of demographic upheaval, especially among Hispanic voters, young black men being very supportive of President Trump. How much can you even measure that support?
Well, I'll tell you, just from our daily reports, let me hone in here on young black men. I have never, ever seen anything like this. They are energetic about Trump. They hate Kamala Harris, and I really think it's based on economic policies, right? I just think they're saying, no, 4 years ago was much better than it is today. But in the Philly suburbs, the Pittsburgh suburbs, young black men are just, it's going to be a shift like we've never seen before. Then you add in Hispanics. You add in white men, you add in blue collar workers. Obviously I'm hoping for a win here for Trump. I don't know where the Democrats go after this, right? What is their voting bloc?
Right.
Woke, white, liberal women, and illegal immigrants. I don't know how you win a national election with that being your voting bloc.
I know. So when you look at the data right now, with all of those demographics that you just described, they're going to be a little bit harder to pick up in the data, especially if they voted before, because they may be registered Democrats who've decided they're with Trump this time.
And that's exactly correct. And that's why I tell people, listen, we're not letting off the gas. We've committed through this PHA's program to knock 500,000 doors. It doesn't matter how bad or how good the data looks, right? You got to go like you're down 10 votes the entire time.
Yeah.
And by the way, Vince, if anybody listening wants to come to PA, they can come out. We will house them. We'll give them gas cards. I mean, we have people coming from all over the country because to win the White House, we got to win PA. And there's only one way we win PA, fixing the mail-in vote problem where Democrats dominate. Folks can go to phas.com right now. Apply. We'll get you all set up. And look, if you can't come out, sponsor a ballot chaser.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that from anywhere. $175 is a full day of ballot chasing. Every single penny goes to the ballot chasers' pay, their housing, their gas cards, their meals, and that's phas.com. Pennsylvania is the path to the White House.
I want to ask a question I'm sure is on the mind of many of our listeners about Pennsylvania. Back in the 2020 election, we saw a lot of shenanigans with the way the election was conducted. You mentioned that a moment ago, Cliff Maloney. And among the things that I'm thinking of are the ballot curing patterns. In other words, are voters sometimes allowed to change their vote after they've already submitted it, or the late ballots being accepted, and on and on and on. The kind of the unclear nonsense that took place in the Pennsylvania election 4 years ago. How are things different, if at all, today?
Yeah, so when I first agreed to launch this PHA's program, that was one of the first things I looked at was I don't want to do all this work and it's for nothing. right? So let me give you a couple bullet points. Number one, in 2022, the Supreme Court of PA solidified into law that a mail-in ballot had to be signed, had to be dated, and had to have a secrecy sleeve. The problem in 2020 in the middle of the night is all of these were new rules. And so there's 67 counties in PA, and a lot of these different counties just made decisions. Obviously, Philadelphia and Allegheny, remember the middle of the night, right?
Yep.
Well, all of these mail-in ballots that were supposed to not be counted, they were considered provisional. They just said, well, we don't want to disenfranchise voters. Well, when it's 90-10, Democrat to Republican on these mail-in votes because you're in Philadelphia County, of course you're going to see this huge jolt for Joe Biden. So in 2022, the court setting that is a big deal for the rules, okay? The second thing I'll tell you, for those thinking, well, you know, Democrats, dead folks or people that have moved, you know, ballots came back, there's 500,000 less Democrat mail-in ballot requests. So that's less ballots going out in Philly and Pittsburgh. You can't have a ballot come back that never got sent out. Right? So they don't have the ballots that even if they wanted to be nefarious, the numbers aren't there. And they have to have 2020 numbers to be able to beat Trump because Trump support is only increasing. And so remember, this is 80,000 votes that we lost by. And Vince, what gives me hope, when you look back to 2020, 141,000 Republicans requested a mail-in ballot and never sent it back because we didn't chase them like the Democrats do, right? We didn't go to their door and say, Bob, you've got a ballot sitting there. Send it back now. And so that's what we're doing. This is a reminder campaign. Every door we knock on, it's a Republican or a Trump-aligned independent that has a ballot, and we're making sure they get it back. We're just doing what the Democrats do.
Yeah.
We're fighting fire with fire.
Hey, Cliff Maloney, I do wonder about Pennsylvania colleges, universities, technical schools. In that state, there are nearly 300 of those. And students, when they live in a state like that, while they're going to school there, are allowed to register in that state and make that the state in which they vote. Are you chasing those votes by any chance?
Yeah, and look, I mentioned young black men, but just in general, I mean, a lot of our target list, this is something I haven't seen before for a Republican, it's a lot of younger people. You know, the 18 to 22 demographic voting in their first election, there's a lot of data, and we do a lot of modeling that has us targeting them. And by the way, you also see parents who are like, listen, you know, my son's away at school, but he's got his residency here. Can I get him to fill out one of these requests for a mail-in ballot? Absolutely. And so, yes, we're working that as much as we can. Democrats are losing their grip on young people. So these voting blocks in these college areas that used to be like 90-10, a lot of them we're seeing movement. And I think, you know, there's a lot of young people who are kind of tired of the uniparty and just tired. I mean, young people like to vote for the rebel candidate. Trump's been impeached. He's been charged. He's been found guilty. He's been shot in the face. Right? He's the guy that a lot of young people are turning to, and we haven't seen that probably since Reagan.
Has that?
Where people look at that?
Cliff, can I ask? I always wonder specifically about the fact that Butler, Pennsylvania, is the place where President Trump was shot. Did you see any meaningful change in the political atmosphere there in Pennsylvania after that occurred?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at just voter registrations in that area, right, in some of these counties in that area, and just across PA, I mean, the momentum, remember, in 2020, we had a voter registration disadvantage by 700,000. It's below 300,000 now. So I credit Butler for a lot of that. I mean, when you saw the spike after that of people switching from Democrat to Republican, the new requests for Republicans, I mean, we've outpaced Democrats pretty much every single time they released the data for the last 2 years. But it really saw an increase after the Butler shooting. And I think what people have to understand is it's Trump himself and people seeing the Biden-Harris economy, and you pair that with all these organizations like Turning Point Action, Early Vote Action with Scott Pressler, America First Works, and I got to give Laura Trump and Michael Whatley so much credit. We all have full synergy. This is not 2020 where it was all in silos. Everybody's working together. I think that's why the registration numbers are moving our way. It's why the returns have gone up over 100,000 for Republicans compared to 4 years ago, because we're all singing from the same song sheet.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because my final question for you, Cliff, was about that, the mechanics of the get out the vote effort between the right and the left. The media has been really trying to mock the right's get out the vote effort, saying that, the Trump campaign isn't doing it. They're shopping it to outside parties. It's really disorganized. And then they will crow that the left has a turnout machine, that the Democrats have a very finely tuned machine that's going to get all their people out. You just described the way the right is succeeding. How do you diagnose what the left is up to?
Let them keep thinking that. Let the legacy media keep putting that out. It is completely false. I mean, I've never, look, I do door campaigns. Okay. We've been doing this for 6 years. We've knocked over 6 million doors. I've never had the support of the RNC, the presidential campaigns, the state GOPs, all these outside groups. This is the first time Republicans are doing it. And so Democrats hate that, right? They hate that we're playing in the sandbox because we've ignored this. I mean, this is the first year. I'm not going to defend what happened in 2020, and I was one of those people. I was like, vote on election day. It's the most secure, right? But you can't. You have to play the hand you're dealt. And so I think the media, they're really grasping at straws to try to figure out some way to stall momentum. But the numbers will do the talking on November 5th. I truly believe that.
That's an encouraging assessment. I know a lot of people are concerned about that, and rightfully so. You're directing a lot of scrutiny at the RNC. We talked to Michael Whatley just an hour ago, and he offered a lot of good advice, encouragement about the election integrity efforts, the get out the vote efforts. And Cliff, it's good to hear from on the ground in Pennsylvania that it's been some benefit. So I hope it means a big victory here coming up in just a few days. Thank you, Cliff. Really appreciate your time today, sir.
Yeah, you guys keep spreading the word. Appreciate you having me on. PAChase.com and on X @Maloney. We're going to keep grinding. We're going to win this thing. Thanks so much.
PAChase.com. There he is. All right, Cliff Maloney, thank you. It's 5:51 now. WMAL, traffic and weather. We've got Ed Rodriguez in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
All of a sudden, we're dealing with a couple of big closures. One of those is Southeast-Southwest Freeway with traffic headed westbound on the 11th Street Bridge coming off of 295 and getting onto the 11th Street flyover to get onto the Southeast-Southwest Freeway. Everything is shut down for the moment right on the bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, here's the WMAL ABC 7 Storm Watch forecast.
Winds will ease this evening and into the overnight under mainly clear skies. A frost advisory in northern Montgomery, Frederick, Loudoun, and Prince William counties until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Highs on your Friday with lots of sunshine near 70. I'm 7 News meteorologist Steve Rudin of the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now in the nation's capital, 64 degrees and 5:52 here on WMAL. Enjoy all of the NFL action with a chance to win on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win a bet on tonight's game. My favorite features in the app are the Parlay Hub, the popular bets, and FanDuel Squares. Just visit FanDuel.com/VinceC so you can make every moment more. This season, FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 and up and present in Virginia. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's something new every week. We're talking about Angela Alsobrooks and her many scandals. We already know that Alsobrooks got caught taking at least $16,000 worth of illegal tax breaks. And the Baltimore Sun writes, Alsobrooks owed up to $59,000 in back taxes, penalties, and interest. But according to news reports, Alsobrooks is getting a sweetheart deal from the D.C. government. No penalties and a 25% reduction in interest. Would you get that deal? The New York Times reports Alsobrooks lied on official mortgage documents, claiming she planned to live in a house she rented. And Alsobrooks was sued twice for not paying her bills. Thousands of dollars in unpaid water, sewer, and other expenses. Angela Alsobrooks. Just one scandal after another. Maryland deserves better. Maryland's future paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.marylandfuture.org.
Is your patio, sidewalk, or driveway cracked or uneven? Have you tripped or fallen as a result? Or are you worried about the liability of an uneven surface on your property? American Concrete Services can quickly help. Don't pay the high cost to tear out and replace your sidewalk, patio, driveway, or pool deck. American Concrete Services has an economical solution which can raise and stabilize your existing concrete at a fraction of the cost of full replacement with their environmentally friendly structural foam. With structural foam lifting, there's no heavy equipment to cause damage to your property and no loud noises from jackhammering. Best of all, most repairs can be completed in just a few hours the same day. Have your entire patio, sidewalk, or driveway crack-free, safe, and level again. No job is too big or small. Call American Concrete Services now for your free estimate at 240-6655-665. That's 240-6655-665. Again, call 240-6655-665. Licensed in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. MHIC number 140530.
I love picking out Halloween costumes, but I also love picking out my favorite spirits at Total Wine & More. They have the biggest selection of spirits, wines, and beer, and the lowest prices in town. So checking out is never scary. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. 18 +21.
Baby boomers and retirees, protect yourself from the coming tidal wave of higher taxes. This administration's spend and tax schemes with their failed economic policies are only going to create more taxes being taken from your retirement savings. National talk show host, wealth strategist, and best-selling author Chuck Oliver of The Hidden Wealth Solution will teach you why it is critical in this election year to learn to be retirement tax smart through proven solutions that could save you thousands in unnecessary taxes. Imagine removing the IRS from your IRAs. Visit retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com.
Know the news the minute you wake up. O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. 5 to 9 a.m. on WMAL.
All right, let me go to the phones. I've got Chris calling in from Olney here on line 7. Chris, good afternoon. You are on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great, Chris.
Awesome. I have a pay-per-view event that you might be interested in should Trump win. You ready?
I can't wait. Go for it.
Okay. Back in 2017, Biden was in the House, and they had to collect the electoral votes and make them official. And 7 or 8 politicians from different states were trying to void them, and they didn't have a senator's signature. So Biden slammed down the gavel, said those votes count, all towards Trump getting elected over Hillary.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine what a pay-per-view event would go for? And I'd pay for it, and I don't even pay for those things. If Biden is the vice president now and Kamala Harris loses, she would be the one with the gavel allowing the votes to go through for Trump to be elected.
Kamala Harris is the vice president right now, so her job would be to count the electoral votes in Congress on January 6th.
Yes, she would be slamming the gavel down and denying all the representatives of states that don't want them to count.
Chris, this is so fun. You know why this is even more fun? Because the Democrats changed the law to make that job even more useless. You're literally now just ceremonial. They were angry about the fact that President Trump noticed that there were some legal options available to him, so they stripped all of them away. That means Kamala will be just as feckless as she's always been as she stands up there and gavels in President Trump as the next president of the United States. I'm very excited by this, Chris. And luckily, neither you nor I need to pay for it. It'll be on C-SPAN. I'm very excited about that.
If you look back at that video, Biden was almost smiling when he did it.
Yeah.
Almost like saying to Obama, yeah, I told you so.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens. I hope that's the outcome. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that call. The great one, Mark Levin, up next.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Hey, it's Larry for The Good Feet Store. Fall is here. From attending sporting events, fall festivals, and the holidays, I love spending quality time with my family. Don't let foot pain prevent you from spending quality time with yours. The Good Feet Store offers arch supports for the whole family. They have a youth arch support system for children 6 and up and a 3-step system of adult arch supports. A few years ago, I started training for a half marathon, and I noticed I had foot pain. Forget about training for a half marathon. I couldn't even walk around the block without pain. But I went to see my friends at the Good Feet Store. I got my free fitting, I got my test walk, and they fit me with their fantastic arch support system. I was back on my feet in weeks. Come in today to see how the Good Feet Store can help your whole family live the life you love without your feet getting in the way. The Good Feet Store has locations across Greater D.C., Baltimore, and Annapolis. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today or just stop by the Good Feet Store. You deserve comfort in your life.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years.
He was in big trouble.
We're going to take your house, garnish your pay.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm, and rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau.
I don't owe the IRS anymore. It was because of Optima Tax.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-908-1755. 800-908-1755.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Crime's rising in Northern Virginia, and Don Byers giving us buyer's remorse. When the D.C. Council proposed letting violent criminals loose on our streets, Byers supported the dangerous plan. Byers voted against deporting illegals with criminal records or who drive drunk in our community. We'd all be safer with Jerry Torres, a Green Beret combat veteran.